Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soul Report. Here we are once again. We have another amazing guest for you today, Cynthia Rivard. She is a spiritual teacher, business strategist, and an environmental advocate. There we go, maybe both. So here we are. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas James Cottrell. And each episode, as you know, we bring you conversations with the most thought-provoking, motivational speakers, spiritual leaders, skilled therapists, and intriguing personalities from around the globe. We're here to explore the many, many ways these remarkable individuals motivate and assist others through their unique modalities, talents, abilities, books, and lectures, etc. So, whether you're seeking a spark of inspiration or a deep transformational piece of wisdom, hey, you're in the right place. Let's discover together the souls that are shaping your world. Okay, today my guest is, as I mentioned, Cynthia Rivard. .com is her website. Don't forget that, cynthiarivard.com. And she has a book out called Hope for a New Era, and it's brand new. So everybody pay attention. Go to the website, cynthiarivard.com. Cynthia, it's a pleasure to have you on here today. A spiritual teacher, business strategist, and environmental advocate. What are you all about?
Well, thank you, Douglas. I'm delighted to be here and to share a little bit. And I think as we talk about the story of the book, you'll hear it all coming out or coming together. But I am a crystal clear channel. And so the book really is channeled wisdom and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, you can't, one of the messages in the book is, we can't just try and operate in a meditative state or thinking about the 5D. We've got to fix this mess of a world we're in here in the 3D. And so, that's where the business strategist comes in. And I talk a lot about the environment because that's the first crisis, or the biggest, I should say, that we really need to address.
Well, in today's world, number one, uh, spiritual development, what's going to happen tomorrow? How can I manage my business, the business of life? So, as you're in that area, that world, tell us a little bit about what you do. How do you help people?
Uh, well, I was guided. I've made a lot of pivots recently as I came into my spiritual awakening, which was very late in life. So hopefully I can share a little about that in a bit. But um, I was guided to pivot what I had started trying to do as a business into a nonprofit. It's called the Global Rising Tide Foundation. And our purpose is to raise human consciousness. Why? And that's done through group programs and trainings and information that I make available to my donor community. But then I also, the proceeds and all the proceeds from the books that I write, by the way, will go to environmental causes, fighting and working to end global warming.
So, how long have you been doing this?
Well, the nonprofit just started. I haven't brought any money into it yet, but it's all been part of this process with writing the book and my big identity up level as I came into really knowing who I'm meant to be and what my purpose is in this world. And that, so the channeling and the clear guidance that I receive just started recently. I was probably just before my 60th birthday that I started getting a little bit of communication, and I didn't even realize I was channeling. So it's been a whirlwind process, and I've completely pivoted in a lot of areas.
Hmm.
Never, ever did I anticipate writing a book. I didn't think I liked writing. Well, when the words flow through you, it's pretty easy and fun to write, actually. So here I am.
Well, everything has its time and its place, as they say. And so when you were ready to start this new endeavor as a channeler or channeling information and as an author writing this book, take us back to that moment when all of a sudden you realized you were getting this information from beyond your conscious mind. What is that like? What was that moment like? Oh my gosh, what happened?
Well, it's so interesting. And I do thank you for asking because I love to share this story just as inspiration for others. So if we could go back, I don't know, 5 years maybe, I was starting to be spiritually curious, I would say. And I was listening and leaning in. And I just had this wall up thinking, well, that sounds great, but that's not me. I'm old and I am not old, but in my head, I'm thinking all these years I've lived and I don't consider myself intuitive. So that's a gift that some people have and I don't have. And as a side note, what I learned was that's a misconception. It's not a gift, it's a skill. And I was always being guided by my inner wisdom. And it wasn't time yet for me to spiritually awaken because my now purpose, it wasn't time yet to lean in and share this message with the world that I'm sharing now.
When you got started, like
Mm.
everybody, I've interviewed many people and talked to people over the last 50 years. Everybody has that moment when it's real. Like you got something, you had a dream and it came true, or you had a feeling something was about to happen and did. What was that moment when you realized you were being guided from above?
So it happened so gradually. I developed my clairsentience and started, I knew I was connecting with my higher self. I didn't quite know what that meant really, but I knew I wanted and needed guidance and I was connecting and I was getting better at it because I was really curious. I'd ask a lot of questions and I did that for a while and I was being led in a lot of new ways, like into energy work, which I would have never ever what I was to myself, what? I'm a business coach. What the heck am I going to do learning energy work? Anyway, so I kept following the nuggets, but it was probably a year and a half into it. I was listening to some talks about channeling. I was really curious, and again, it was still, that person you see on the stage or on videos that are gifted, channels. And I was listening and thinking, oh, that's really cool. They can do that. And then I asked my inner wisdom. I was like, wait a minute. I got this little nudge. Am I channeling? I got a yep. Yes, you are. Like,
Wow.
oh my goodness, how long have I been doing that? Well, since we started communicating, which was a year and a half earlier.
So
And I,
you were hearing words, you were talking to,
no, I
oh,
was using my Claire sentience that
ah,
year and a half earlier. And
okay.
I would ask questions and I'd get sensations in my body, or different sensations when I was doing an energy healing that would tell me something. So I was communicating that way, but I was also my claircognizance. I was getting more trust in it, and it's a great cheat if you wonder about developing your intuitive gifts or skills rather, and you think you know something but you're not sure. Clairsentience is a great little cheat because I would just ask, wait a minute, is that my monkey mind or should I pay attention to this? Are you trying to tell me something? So it is words now. I get very clear words, conversations coming through, the words on the paper, everything. But in the beginning, it was me not really trusting my claircognizance. And I was leaning into the clairsentience to just be really, really curious and ask a lot of questions.
Well, I think that's the point of no return, as you know when you look back. But for people in the audience listening to that, they're looking at you and they say, "Here's a nice lady." The title of her book is, "Hope for a New Era," and that makes, that sounds good. And then they're listening to you tell your story about how you got started. And everybody, it sort of comes from a humble beginning. There isn't that like, bells and whistles going off, and all of a sudden, ta-da, you have this information. It does kind of sneak up you in a gradual way. So
Mhm.
as you started writing the book, let's go back and say, there you are sitting there going, let's write a book. As you said earlier, you never expected to write a book, but now that the words are flowing through you,
Yeah.
how did you get guided, and what is a hope for a new era?
The guidance was very clear at that point, and the words were flowing. It was very clear. It was just a matter of when and how I would get the various bits of information out there. But the this particular book, I'm so excited to share it. I'm talking about there's a narrative in most religious traditions as well as the New Age space about this concept that, some people call the new earth, some people call paradise on earth, nirvana. There's this beautiful golden era that we long for, or we've heard about, that we think of in some golden time in the future. And so the truth that I'm sharing is that time is available, and it's ready for us to start creating it now. But all of these traditions and narratives have pretty much led us to believe that it will be, God will deliver us, it will be handed to us.
Mm,
And that's not the case. We're not going to wake up one day in a new dimension or, it's not going to magically, you blink and it's there. We have to co create it with divinity. And that's the really big, powerful message that I need to share, because divinity's with us. Each and every one of us, has it within. And when we're willing to listen to that guidance, we will be helped to do the right things at the right time, each of us contributing our piece, our little piece of the equation to fix this broken mess that we've created on the planet right now. We have humanitarian crises all over the planet, and wars and different conflicts. And then there's global warming, which is on a crash course to extinct us in a lot less time than scientists believe. So we need to take ownership and responsibility for the world we've created. And the hope is, as we have, so the definition I've been given of hope is faith in action. And I hope everyone will have faith in, well, their own guidance and vision of that golden future, and start taking action toward it. You can, I mean, there's so much that needs cleaned up in this world, and you can sit back and overwhelm. That's where I was a few years ago. You can just be really overwhelmed by it, or think, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? There's lots of other people working on this that'll fix it, hopefully. And it's not as discouraging when we each start taking action, because you have hope when you start taking action. And with each action, divinity will come in and give you more inspired action to take. So I I advocate at the beginning of the book, because I know I share some things that people might find, oh, that's different. I don't, I've never heard that. I don't believe in that. And that's fine. But I advocate that everyone just be open to possibilities, because the truth's within you. But we only get answers, as we were talking about a minute ago, we only get answers to the questions we ask.
Okay, on that thought, the book is called Hope for a New Era. Love the title. The author is Cynthia Rivard. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this.